Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today we're going to be doing a little first impressions and not a review because haven't tried the product enough to review it yet. So it's a first impressions and demo and swatch of the new Too Faced Peanut Butter and Honey palette. So it does come in a box like this when you purchase it, and the box on the outside says it smells like peanut butter and honey. You do get 9 eyeshadows in this palette. 3 of the pans are larger than the other 6 pans. The 3 large pans are 2 grams each. The 6 other pans are 0.9 grams each. And this does have a 12-month expiration stamped on the back here. So the palette itself looks like this. It's the typical 9-pan palette. It's the metal one. So it does have pretty much the same things on the back here. So if you don't want to keep the cardboard box, you don't have to, because it's going to have the same thing on the back here of all the information. And then when you open it, you do get a little booklet inside of here, and the booklet looks like this, and it's going to show you some different eyeshadow looks that you can create using this eyeshadow palette. And then you get a small little mirror at the top, and then you get 9 eyeshadows. Here are what the eyeshadows actually look like close up, so you can tell that there is that bright yellow, which is what everyone's like super excited about, because that's the honey color. So this does come in different rows, so you can create different looks by different rows. So the first row here is the sweetest honey row, then we have the queen bee row, then we have the peanut butter and honey row. So the first row here we're going to swatch is, of course, is the sweetest honey row. So we're going to swatch creamed honey, peanut butter, and going nuts. So here are the first row on my fingers, and then we're going to swatch it right here. So this is creamed honey, peanut butter, and going nuts. So there's the first row swatched. So far it looks like it's a little powdery. It looks like it's going to have a little bit of kick up, but I think most of Too Faced products are like that, where they're a little bit powdery and they have a little bit of kick up. So that's typically for Too Faced. That's a typical for Too Faced product. Now we're going to the queen bee row. So this is Bee Sweet, Honey Brittle, and Bee's Knees. Bee's Knees does have some sparkle into it. It looks like it may have a little bit of fallout if you're going to use it on your eyes. So you may want to use a primer that is good for like a shimmer shadow. So the first one I swatched was Bee Sweet. Then this one here is Honey Brittle. And then we have Bee's Knees. So far, to be honest with you, I feel like these are not very pigmented. I don't think this is a very highly pigmented palette. I feel like this is like a muted down palette. That's my first impression so far, but this is only swatching. So now we're moving on to the peanut butter and honey row. So we have Queen Bee, Honey Buns, and Feelin' Nutty. Some of these look like they may be duplicate colors from other palettes too, so when I do my final thoughts on this palette, we'll go through and find out if we have dupes from other palettes. So we have Queen Bee. I'll make sure I'm not going over top right here. Queen Bee. Then we have Honey Bee. And then we have Feelin' Nutty. So there are the complete palette swatched. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel very excited about those colors. I feel like they're just a little bit, they're okay. I just feel like they're very muted down. It almost looks like a pastel palette to me because it's so muted down. It doesn't have enough pigment to it. And it is very powdery, so when I'm swatching it already with just my fingers, I'm seeing a lot of kick up, so be aware of that. So now we're going to go ahead and try this on my eyelids. We're going to start out with one eyelid using a primer, and then the other eyelid I'm not going to use a primer. So I'm going to be using my MAC Painterly Paint Pot because this is my trusted primer that I always use. So I'm going to just put this on one eyelid and then see how this works using a primer. And we're just going to create a simple look today using this palette just because I want to kind of just see how the palette works on the eyelids. I'm not trying to go extravagant or anything. This is going to be more of a, let's just test it. Let's see if it's actually worth for you guys picking it up. Now we're going to go ahead and set that powder and then also start putting my eyeshadow on my other eyes. On my other eye. How many eyes do I have? So I'm going to go down here to Queen Bee and I'm going to stamp in that, and it's got a lot of kick up here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a ton of kick up. So you definitely want to tap off. The color is coming up pretty pigmented. So I'm just tapping this on to kind of set my primer that I put on my eyelid. Set that down. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side, except for there's no primer there. Do you see all the kick up in here? I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a ton of kick up. Now we're going to put this on the other eye without a primer. And so far so good. I mean, there's kick up, but like I said, I think that's typical for Too Faced. I think Too Faced usually does have some kick up with their products. Now I'm going to go up here to peanut butter, and we're going to dip into peanut butter, and there's a ton of kick up, guys. And we're just going to start doing my crease with peanut butter using the same brush because we used a lighter shade. Now we're going to go to a little bit darker. And we're just going to kind of blow this out as much as we can. So far it's not bad, but that peanut butter shade pretty much is the same peanut butter shade I think from their actual peanut butter palette. So I don't think that there's any formulation difference there, but I could be wrong. So I will test them against each other, like I said in my final thoughts on this palette. So here it is on the other eye with no primer. So as you can see, I feel like they're looking pretty similar with primer and without primer. I don't see much of a difference. I think this one might be a little bit more bold, but nothing extreme. Now I'm going to use a smaller brush. I'm using a Luxie brush. The first brush I was using was a Tarte brush. This is a Luxie 229 brush. And I'm actually going to go over here to Honey Brittle. And I'm going to put a little bit of that into the crease, or not to the crease, but to the outer V over here. Just to give me that peachy look. I like that peachy look. And then we're definitely going to use that yellow because the yellow is what everybody's excited about. So Honey Brittle. I should have tapped off a little bit more a while ago, but that's okay. If we have some fallout, I'm not worried. The good thing is if you have a palette that has a lot of fallout, all you've got to do is either do your eye makeup before you do your face makeup or clean up afterwards. So I usually just do clean up. I come in behind with the cleanup crew. So now we're going to go into Honey Buns, and I'm actually going to use a flat shader brush for that because I'm going to put that on the center of my eyelid. So, and this is pretty powdery too, so there's a lot of kick up on this one. So I'm going to put this right here on the center to make that bright yellow pop. I think if you use a white base on this too, it might pop out a little bit better. Which, I mean, I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, well, I don't want to go through all that effort to make an eyeshadow palette work, which I don't blame you. I don't like having to put extra effort in to make an eyeshadow palette work either. But sometimes in order to make them, the colors be a little more vibrant, you kind of have to do that. So if you're looking for more vibrancy, you could use the NYX in Milk. You could use that. Yeah, because without a primer, I mean, look, there's hardly any color. With the primer, there's a lot of color. So I think if you use a white base, you would definitely get a lot more pigmentation out of this palette. But this is just first impression. I'm piling this yellow on because I really want that to show. So far, it's okay so far. I don't think this is the best palette that Too Faced has ever made so far. But, you know, things can get better here in a second, but they could just go downhill. We'll have to see. We're almost finished here with this eye look. Now I'm going to go in to the top shade up here, the Sweetest Honey shade. I'm going to use that for the inner portion of my eye. So that's just going to go right here just to give that, so it kind of draws your eye to the outer part of it too. It kind of like brightens that inner portion. Oh, I forgot to dust off. Could you tell I didn't dust off there? Did you see all that shadow kick up? It's definitely got a lot of kick up. Now I'm going to actually try to deepen up my crease and stuff. So I'm going to go over here to Going Nuts. I'm going to dip into that with a different brush. This is a Beauty Junkies brush. And I'm just going to try to deepen up the outer V here. Just give it a little bit more color. I definitely think you can work this palette, but I'm not seeing anything that's super innovative and super different yet. So, I'd love to know so far, what do you guys think of it? Do you think it's crap? Do you think it's okay? Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it so far. Because so far, no me gusta. It's okay. I'm not sure it's worth hunting down because I'm sure it's going to be one of those palettes that's going to be hard to get after a while. It's going to be one of those where everybody's going to hype it up, all the big YouTubers. But I can tell you firsthand, it's not terrible, but it's not the best either that Too Faced has ever made. And you would think since this is going to be a permanent palette, they would have put a lot of effort behind it. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be a permanent palette. So now we're going to go up here to Sweet as Honey. I'm going to clean my brush off, and now I'm going to put this as my brow bone highlight. And just kind of blend that together a little bit more. Just kind of bring that up. Because that brown is very pigmented. That one there, that was very pigmented. Now I'll do the same thing over here. As you can tell, it definitely looks better on the side with the primer. I feel like the side with the primer, this color is not showing up very well at all. I don't know if you can tell that or not, but it's not showing up. And I'm already getting hard pan in this palette, in this pan. I'm already seeing a little bit of hard pan. That's not good. This is Queen Beef. Yeah, you can see hard pan in that already. I don't know if you can tell it or not, but there's hard pan in this one already. And I didn't use a wet brush or anything. It's just getting hard pan for some reason. Okay, so that is the eye look so far. Now I'm going to go ahead and complete it like I normally would, so it kind of pulls itself together. So I'm going to use my Jessie's Girl liquid eyeliner. And I'm going to try not to poke my eyeball out. So that's my first eyelid. And there's the second eyelid. It's not perfect, but we're getting the gist here. We're kind of just seeing how this is going to pull all together. Now I usually go in with my mascara. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the bottom area here and make that kind of blend all together, smoke that down. So I clean this off again. Now I'm going to go over here to Going Nuts again. This one that we saw a while ago was very pigmented, so I think we don't need to put a whole lot here. Okay, it's not working so good on the flat shader brush. Maybe I need a different brush, and I didn't grab another one to use for under my eyelids. So let's see if I can get it to work here. Okay, I'm going to dip in again to Going Nuts, and I'm going to work over here. This is not coming off that good with this brush. I think I grabbed the wrong brush. It's coming up good enough for like a daytime look, so I mean I'm not too worried about it. Now what I'm going to do is clean my brush off again. I'm just using the little pink cloth thing right here because I can't find my color switch. It's around here somewhere. I have no idea where though. I'm going to go into Honey Buns. I'm going to use a little bit of that yellow on my bottom lash line. Yeah, I think it's not showing up so good down here too because there's no primer there either. So, I mean, you got to remember that. Okay, so now with mascara, and then we're done with the eye look. So it's a very simplistic eye look. But yet, you get the gist of how the palette's going to work. So you know whether or not you think you want to purchase it. That's the whole thing I wanted to do here, was just show you how this kind of pulls together some of these colors. And then show you whether or not you're going to need to use a primer with it. So I'd say you definitely want to use a primer, and I'd say that the colors are more like a pastel where they're not going to come out super pigmented. If you were hoping this was a very pigmented palette, I don't think that it is. So let's finish up the mascara and then we can see the completed eye look. And of course I'll get mascara on the top there. I always do. So anyway, that is the completed eye look. I'm not going to put 2 coats of mascara. I'm just going to do one for now, just because I wanted to show you guys a more simplistic look using this palette. So far, first impressions of this palette, I'd say it's okay. I would say if I was scoring this on packaging, I think the packaging is cute. I think the packaging is great. Price is in comparison to what they normally are for a Too Faced palette. I feel like the quality is not there for what a Too Faced palette typically is. Like the Too Faced chocolate bar, I don't feel like it compares to that, like the quality wise. I don't feel like the colors are giving you enough payoff. I feel like it's a little bit powdery, which is typical for Too Faced, so that is no difference. So for me, I would say maybe 3 or 4 out of 5. I would say I would give this palette maybe a 3 or 4 out of 5. Mostly a 3. I would say this is a 3 palette. So if you were considering purchasing it and you're on the fence about it, I would say that you definitely want to swatch it, and you want to definitely take note that you need to use a primer, and then also know that it's not very pigmented. It's not a palette that you're going to get and you're going to have to worry about pigmentation. It's not super pigmented. You can definitely build it up, but it's something that's not going to go in super pigmented. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this first impressions. I'll be back with this, a complete review on this by the end of next week, and then let you guys know whether or not I feel like you should definitely pick it up, and then give you my overall thoughts also, and do some comparisons. So maybe I'll find some other palettes that if you're not wanting to purchase this, so I can show you some comparisons if you're looking for that specific yellow color. I'll try to find something that's similar to that. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your opinions too. Let me know. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys later.